Welcome to Let's Get Spiritual. I'm your host, Annie, and I'm here with my bestie, Ashley, and we'd love for you to join us as we discuss all aspects of spirituality and wellness. So sit back, take a breath, and let's get spiritual. Welcome back, everyone. It's Annie and Ashley, and we're about to get spiritual.
Hey, guys.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great.
What are we talking about today?
Today, we're about to talk about how powerful we are.
Ooh, I love that topic.
It is amazing because, guys, we need to really understand how powerful we are.
As I like to say, but I won't say the full word in case it's offensive. You got to put some power on your pee sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, you are a powerful human being.
Realize it.
Even when you're in your lowest points.
It's still okay. You're still powerful.
Still a powerful person because you're not going to stay there.
Let's first talk about our bodies and how they have the power to heal themselves. When you have a cut, when you have a wound, it just does its own thing.
Pretty much.
Like,
we don't have to tell it what to do.
No, it just does what its own and on its own completely. So right there just is a great example of how powerful just our bodies are. Our hearts are beating right now. Our brains are doing what they need to do.
I'm breathing and I'm not thinking about it.
Yeah.
Even though when I said that I did start.
That's called conscious breath. We'll get into that too. But it's just amazing when we think about how capable our bodies are without us even telling them to heal this cut or fix my hangnail or I stubbed my toe. It's so funny
you said that because I have one right now and I'm picking it.
That's amazing. So not only are our bodies powerful, but this episode is really going to focus on how powerful our thoughts and our words are.
I have very much learned that lesson within the past few years.
Yeah, we'll get into some of those lessons that we've learned too, because I think that's one that a lot of people are still realizing themselves. So one of the ways that our energy comes to life is when our thoughts come out into words. And that's probably one of our most powerful tools is we take something from our head and our mind and we bring it to life by bringing it to words and when we write it out into paper too. So that alone is powerful to create with the thought of it. But one of my favorite experiments that was done that reveals the power of our words was conducted by Dr. Masaru Emoto. He claims that human consciousness can affect the molecular structure of water. He wrote a book called The Hidden Messages in Water, and it's a New York Times bestseller. And in it, he talks about the experiments where he exposes different glasses of water to different words. Okay. And some of the words were positive words and some of the words were negative words. He shouted negative things. He exclaimed positive things to other ones. And then he froze all of these water samples and then examined them all under microscopes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So what that revealed was that all of the ones that had positivity spoken into them had these perfect snowflake-looking molecule structures that were just brilliantly colored and looked just like high vibrational, perfect little snowflakes. And then the ones that had the negative words at it were just kind of disorderly and bland colored. They just kind of look like a mess.
Well, it kind of makes sense considering how you feel when you receive positive good things and when you receive negative gross things.
So that's what it is. It's our energy vibrates at these levels and it emits this out into our universe. So if it can change the molecular structure of water, imagine what it can change around you too. As humans, we're mostly water.
Exactly.
So our insides and our blood is vibrating and at these same kind of frequencies that you're emitting, whether it's positive thoughts or negative thoughts.
I've also seen, and I think probably just because I saw it on something like Facebook, more people may be familiar with it, but people have done experiments like that with plants as well.
Yes, exactly, where they talk more positively to some plants and they just grow better, and then the ones, I feel bad for them.
I know.
Stop being mean to all these
plants that have to be talked to like poo. They're like, oh.
I could not. I literally talk to my plants.
I do too because I don't have a lot of light and I want them to still feel loved.
I'm going to be the sunshine that you need.
But you can't get in my dark apartment. I'm sorry.
So this is a good example too of how people who tend to talk negatively always find something wrong. There's always something for them to find negative things to talk about. They're always complaining about someone or something or some situation.
Exactly.
And that's just making their whole environment drab and blah and crusty like that.
And we mentioned in our last episode about vibes, and it really just put you at a low vibe, which means
Well, when you're
chilling with
emitting
low vibe
actual
stuff.
low vibrations and the water reflects it, it's like this disorganized, not bright, not fun, like vibe.
Which means that's the existence you're giving yourself.
Exactly.
people.
You're creating that space for yourself. So when you speak more highly and more positively and of love, that's what your surroundings and what your whole essence starts to
It's what you
emit
start
as
to
well.
emit, yeah.
And I get like people who are in these low vibes typically get there from trauma.
Exactly, yeah.
And like I empathize with that wholeheartedly. It's hard when there's been traumatic situations that really mess up your perception of what life is or how emotions are supposed to be felt if you were never taught properly.
Right.
I understand that. At the same time, when we realize how powerful we are, we have the power to change these situations to become better for us.
Exactly.
We can't change what's happened, but we can learn and adapt and grow and kind of make a better outcome despite the trauma that's occurred.
Exactly. Yeah. And again,
So
it's hard,
powerful.
but it's so powerful.
So powerful. We can have, and I've seen people have like the craziest situations happen to them and still just are this bubble of light and rainbows and sunshine. And you're like, how, when you've gone through so much stuff,
Yeah.
can you do that? And that just shows the power within their perception.
Exactly. It's really about your mindset.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's not always easy to look at the bright side of things. As someone with anxiety, I mean, obviously I wouldn't have anxiety if I always looked at the bright side of things.
Yeah.
So I do look at the icky, crusty, low vibe side of stuff. But I must say that even just in working on myself, I've become better at trying to recognize that faster and then trying to do, the things, the steps, meditating, working out, eating better, whatever I need to do to kind of get myself back to a better
Yeah.
spot.
And those aren't things that are easy to do, but
No, they're really hard to obnoxious.
it's hard to maintain them. Like I right now am on a fitness and health challenge for myself and I struggle. I love to eat snacks late and one of my things is I'm giving myself a cutoff time and it is hard, but I'm more powerful than my urges.
Yeah.
I'm more powerful than my, temptations.
And it's not to say if you slip up that you should just be like,
No.
fuck it, and just
Yeah.
not do it anymore. Like you're going to have days. There's going to be a day
Yeah,
where
there's
you
gonna
might
be-
eat something after a certain time. You're
And
not
I'm
going to
gonna
beat yourself up over it.
Exactly. And allowing yourself some forgiveness in those moments too is
Because
important.
you're speaking love and wellness into yourself.
Yes. We have to realize the power of our thoughts because if we can change water molecules like that, like just thinking about yourselves negatively and speaking about yourselves negatively just doesn't allow for any positive things to happen in your environment.
And we have to remember it's not just the outward stuff. Like there was a time in my life where I've always had good confidence. I've always had love for myself. But there's definitely times in my life where I realized that my external love for myself, what I said out loud to people, was way better
Well,
than the
that
stuff that I
too.
said inside to myself. And that's really one of those times, and I've said this to you a million times. If you know me, I have used this logic on you. When you're having those moments and you're just beating yourself up and you're saying just horrible things to yourself, stop for a moment and think about the person you love the most. And then think if you would say that stuff to them. If the roles were reversed and they were going through whatever you're beating yourself up over, would you talk to them like that?
No.
Because the answer is usually
No.
which means you absolutely should not be talking to yourself like
No,
that.
because you deserve the loving words that you'd give to a friend or a loved one back at
Exactly.
yourself.
No one in the entire universe deserves your love more than you.
Facts. Beautiful. That is so beautiful because it's so true. And I feel like one of the most common things, and I hear it a lot when people make mistakes, or oh God, I'm so stupid. Oh, I'm the worst. Oh, I'm so awful. And that right there, start catching yourself in these moments and divert that right away because you're putting it out there. You're going to keep doing that.
And it doesn't seem like a big deal. It
No,
really
it's
doesn't, because it's
huge.
just, you're just saying it. You're like,
No.
oh God, I'm so dumb.
No.
You're
No.
not dumb.
Stop.
And if you keep saying it every time you make a little mistake, guess what? That's the reality that you're building.
And
not only for the people around you, because those people might start thinking you're dumb, which you don't want them thinking
Would
that.
you call your kid dumb for making that same mistake that you
Exactly.
did? No,
And
then
if
don't
you
call
would,
yourself.
you need to go get some help, by the way.
I've heard some parents
don't break your kid
nice
by speaking horribly to them, because they're not going to be great adults. And remember, they're going to take care of you when you're old. Maybe.
Exactly. But yeah, like just realize that power that you have when it comes to speaking, because it's not just the words outwardly, it's also the thoughts. So even if you don't say out loud, like, oh, I'm dumb, thinking it is still just as bad.
It might even be worse, because at least that, like, if you say it out loud and you're around one of us, we're gonna be like, don't speak like that.
Yeah.
If you're saying it inside, I don't know to tell you not to say that about yourself.
At those subatomic vibrational levels, it is still felt, it is still existence, and it is dangerous when you start to.
You're making yourself a crusty, deformed snowflake. You don't
you
want to be a crusty, deformed snowflake.
A beautiful, brilliant snowflake.
Yes.
So another powerful thing about us is a power of perception. And I wanted to touch a little bit on that, because that's where we really realize our power. So an example is 2 people can be in the same room, yet time can be going by completely different for them. So like one person could be like, oh my God, it's 11 a.m. Oh, this day is dragging. I can't believe this. I just want to go to lunch, blah, blah, blah. And then
the
you
other person is like, yes,
oh my God, it's 11. It's almost an hour till lunch. This day is going by.
Yes.
And like, why is that? That is because it's the power of your perception. You both have the same environment. So we are not a product of the environment that we're in. We're products of the perceptions of what we have of these environments.
We're a product of our thoughts.
Yes. Yeah. So if you're always thinking negative, thinking bad, your environment's always going to have something bad or negative about it.
Yeah. And it's not to say if you're positive and you know, all the great stuff, that you're not going to hit a bad day, or you're not going to have one of those days where you're like, oh, it's only 11 o'clock. Blech.
Yeah.
But guess what? That's part of being human. We don't always get to have wonderful sunshiny days. Sometimes we have to have the bad days.
Yes.
Yeah. So we can appreciate the good days. Duh.
Facts.
But B, so that way we can grow and build and learn from those, you know, those low vibing times, those low energy times.
And like sometimes that's where some of our biggest lessons are, is when we're in those, like we have to realize that. And that's where we become most powerful. It's going, wait a minute, this is actually something I can change.
Yes.
I can change my perception on this situation. Or even if I am like, oh man, it's only 11 and I thought this day was going on much faster, I can go change my perception and go, okay, well, I only have this long till lunch.
Yeah.
And you can start to recognize, oh, I am kind of in a low right now. How do I get myself back into that high vibe that I want to be? So just keep practicing it, because it helps.
Mindfulness is the name of the game, people. You got to be on top of your thoughts.
And when you are able to shift that consciousness in these situations and use your power to go from more of the victim mentality to the creator mentality, like, again, you can't create anything if you're a victim to the situation.
Exactly.
When you take yourself out from being the victim, you become very powerful and you create your situation and the life that you want to live ultimately.
Exactly.
So it comes from weight. Like there's weight that comes with that. Like anytime you have to shift out of these areas, you're leaving a comfort zone.
Ugh. And no one likes leaving a comfort zone, but nothing is ever gained in a comfort zone.
No, it's just comfortable. Like anytime you done anything scary, you've had to, or even anything for the first time, you had to get out of your comfort zone a little bit.
I always say anything that I've ever attained in my life was not attained in my comfort zone.
Facts.
I had to step out of that comfort zone. I had to face a fear. I had to take on overthinking and thinking negatively or low vibing situations. I had to just face it head on and make it through. And you get to another comfort zone. I guess that makes you feel better.
Yeah. It's always kind of like, that's part of a journey. It's like you get out of your comfort zone. You're like, oh my God, this is crazy. This is weird. And then, okay, it wasn't that bad. And then you're like, oh crap, I'm in my comfort zone again. I have to do something else.
Ew. Yeah, no, it's very
growth,
plateau.
guys.
Life is full of hills and plateaus. And don't stay too long on the plateau, because
ebbs and flows. I like that. Like look at it too. Where like there's highs, there's lows. You have to maintain that equilibrium, because there's always going to be things that come and go and stay a little longer than you'd like. And just realize how powerful you are, though. The situation.
You can change your mindset in a situation. You can do anything.
Yeah, like for real. And it's where like the whole like we're limitless beings really comes from. It's that power that we have to create whatever situation. I mean, I know sometimes it seems hard. I hear like a lot of like older people who are still like, oh, I wish I would have done a job that like I was more passionate about growing up. And like, yeah, you're at a different stage in your life, but it's still not impossible to achieve a goal for yourself.
Well, it's still not, and in your example, it's still not impossible to find your passion regardless of
I was in
where
my
you're at in your
30s and,
life.
you know, like of course we can sit here and go, gosh, I wish I would have done this when I was young. I wish I could have done that. But again, I'm not living in the past anymore. I wish
You can't change any of that.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda, and I didn't. So how can I now get myself to that goal? What steps can I take today or tomorrow or the next day that's going to get me to where I want to be? And that's where you focus.
I think you've even said it in a past episode. No matter how big or small the step is, at least it's a step in the right direction. It's a step forward.
Yeah, it's the only thing that's gotten me through being a business owner, because I'll tell you what, there are some times where you're just like, is this it? Like, am I done? Am I still going to go forward? And there's a lot of ups and lows that comes with being an entrepreneur. I'm sure when it comes to being a parent, when it comes to being a teacher, when it comes to being a student. Are you alive?
Are you living? There's ups and downs in life, what you're doing.
And just learning how to reel it back in and maintain that equilibrium and that balance and staying grounded and only going, you know, some days my forward progress was just giving myself a rest day.
I was just going to say that sometimes in the lows, people have to realize that it's life's way of giving you a pause and a chance to actually recenter, reground, rest, and just get ready for when life's ready to pick you back up.
Like, we live in this hustle society where like taking pauses like that's frowned upon, but no, like
it's necessary.
If you don't take them for yourself, life will force it upon you. Your body will tell you, nope, not today. You're not leaving bed.
Exactly.
And no one wants that. So if you just listen to those times for yourself and acknowledge them and just go, hey, I guess today is the day I'm not doing anything.
Then that's what you got to do.
And that's all there
And don't
is
beat yourself up over it. Enjoy it if you can.
No. You said there were some moments of learning your power, some lessons. You kind of
I mean, definitely the whole speaking to myself was a big lesson that I was able to realize.
Yeah, I think that's a big one for a lot of people.
Yeah, and also just trying to, you know, focus on the positives and things. Again, if you know me, you know that the past probably year or 2 years has been really big when it comes to my job. Mm-hmm. I always, you know, and I grew up in a family where you found your job, you just stuck it out. My dad stuck it out until he retired. And I've always said since I was a little kid, I was like, I'm going to do something that I love. And everyone laughed at me. And then I became an adult and I realized, oh, I guess they were right. Like they were laughing because they knew the secret. Like that's not how it works.
Yeah.
And I just got to a point where I was the clown, if you remember from our last episode, that was just getting knocked all over the place. Yeah, it was wild. And I realized in having to kind of find my grounding and get back to my center point that no, like life is
what you created.
Make it. Yeah. And if something isn't vibing with my mental state, if it's making me feel just inadequate or bad about myself, then it's not something that I should be focusing on. It's not something that I should be pursuing. It's not a place that I should be. And that means I have to move on. And it was absolutely terrifying because especially if you were there for it. In my last change, I literally went into work on a Wednesday, cried my face off, and walked out the door. Yeah. I didn't even have a backup plan. Nope. Like I had nothing at all except for my stubbornness and going, I don't know what the next step is, but it's going to be good.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm going to focus on is that this move,
and
as scary as it is going to be a better move. And it has unfolded in ways that I could have never in a million years.
Yes.
But never in a million years would have thought that, like, you know, I'm finding the opportunities and getting to create the life that everyone laughed at.
I know. And I'm really proud of you for that. First off, that is really hard to do. And it just shows, again, the power of you changing what the things you can control in the situation and really taking that into consideration.
Yeah, this last job change really, I would say this one especially. The first one made me realize that, you know, I need to stand in my power and that I do need to stand up for myself and I do need to, you know, face these things that I'm afraid of with the faith in the universe to just have my back. But I really feel like this particular time, I really noticed that my mindset very much made the whole experience different.
Yeah.
It made the, the opportunities that came to me so much better than anything that I'd ever had before.
And I think you felt you were really dedicated after you made that move. Like you weren't just like, okay, well, things will just come to me.
Exactly. No. And like I had days, you can ask a very close friend, friend of mine that would be like my text buddy because he hates his job, which means that he had tons of time to respond to my mental breakdown texts.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there definitely were days where I was like, oh my God, what did I do? I don't know if I did the right thing. Like
That's your ego.
Yeah, I just had a complete like meltdown. And then once he talked me off the ledge and I realized too that like, oh no, this isn't the end of the world, girl. Calm down. Like this is just a day or it's just an hour. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
So it definitely, this last time definitely made me realize that mindset is huge.
It is. There was an experiment I think it was a Buddhist teacher that wrote about this. It was like two people in jail and one person, like they were both sentenced to life and one person was like miserable literally for the rest of the life. And the other person was like, well, I'm going to make, I can't change my situation. And you can. And that person went on to like teach other people like how to make the best of a crappy situation.
Yeah. That was one of the things that I'm so happy that you asked me to be a part of this podcast for is because I do feel like I've learned a lot working on myself on this path. And I think that the most important thing that you can do when you're on a spiritual path is sharing what you've experienced.
Yep.
Because even though we all have different paths, we may have different like stories, we're all still experiencing the same things on different levels. Well, we have a
shared consciousness. So when we share these experiences, we get out of the ego and we go, oh, we're all on the same level here.
Exactly.
And we're all suffering in some way. We all have things that come at us. And when we open more to the empathy and compassion for each other in these situations, that's where love kind of just comes into play more. We are so powerful. Yes. Well, I think it's time to get to our message.
Yes. I cannot wait. I'm hoping everyone is enjoying this. Also, I'd like to plug myself again. I do tarot readings, so feel free. Hit us up at our email if you'd like. It's letsgetspiritual1111@gmail.
Yep.
Hit us up in the comments to YouTube.
Yep.
Leave us a voice
clip on Spotify
and rate us 5 stars.
Yes.
That'll help get the word out for the podcast so that way more people can hear our message and we can get more people thinking more mindfully and in a spiritual manner.
Absolutely. And we both have our own pages too. So I have the Hidden Gem Facebook page and Ashley has
a Positive Place Facebook page.
Yeah, we talk about this podcast. We already have our own pages. We weren't going to create one just for the podcast. So follow both of those and you can stay tuned. And if you subscribe, then you'll know when all of our new episodes are out.
Yes.
So we're going to take a few breaths so that Ashley can shuffle those cards and we're going to get ourselves into the zone. This time we're going to take in 4 counts and then breathe out for 4 counts. If you're driving, don't close your eyes. But if you're just chilling, keep those eyes closed and let's get those vibes right. Let's inhale. And exhale 4 counts. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. And last one. Let it all out. And what do we have here?
It's a little crusty.
Hold on, let me just do one of these.
Yeah, we need it.
Ooh, it's a little bit crusty. I hope it talks about how powerful we are, though.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I do believe it does. I just even think it's in order. We'll just read it.
All right.
So what we have is the Knight of Pentacles, the Page of Swords, and the 5 of Wands. I'd like to start here.
Okay.
It's crusty.
Oh,
I mean, those people are practically hitting each other with
they
sticks.
do not.
It's freaking chaos over here. So I do feel like if you are in the midst of some chaos, Spirit is recognizing this probably is definitely for you then. So just try to keep your head up. I mean, again, crusty things happen sometimes. You can't get away from it. It's gross. I don't like that card. I don't want to even look at it anymore. I just feel bad because I just feel like everybody, it's chaos. Like everyone's
And I feel
fighting.
like we're
They're
kind
trying
of in
to hit
a
each other.
state of that in
I
like the
think this-
world right now.
The world is in a weird place, and
There's a
I
lot
don't
of
like that card
tension out there.
Yeah, it's so angry.
Ugh.
But we do have the Knight of Pentacles, and the Knight
Okay.
of Pentacles is he's presenting some abundance. He's presenting hopefully the bright side.
Fingers
The,
crossed.
the
man.
light at the end of your tunnel, pretty much, is what I feel like this is kind of representing, right? So, again, if you're going through some tough times, try to focus on the fact that
There
is
is
just
a light.
temporary. There is
Yeah.
light at the end of the tunnel. Try to change your mindset to focus on that.
Yeah,
Don't-
focus on the light at the tunnel, not the darkness that you're
Exactly.
in.
Don't focus on the actual problem as much as maybe the solution
Facts.
on how to get out of this
Yeah,
problem.
focusing on the problem is just going to give you more problems.
And I feel like this definitely has a lot to do with our episode. The page of power is pretty
Page
much what
of
I said. Yeah, the page of swords. Because look at that dude. He's bigger than his problems.
Yes.
Right? He's bigger than the wind. You can see the trees are all like blowing
Down there.
sideways. Like stuff is chaotic around him.
But he looks pretty grounded.
I.e. these guys.
Yeah.
Like it's messy, but he's bigger than these problems and he's grounded. And I feel like if you, again, can change your mindset to realize you just need to fight
have this
through this
sword,
dark
I'm
time,
powerful.
yes, that things will get better because that's what happens. Things don't always stay down, just like they don't always stay up. But when things are down, like that first card is feeling like, just try to keep yourself centered and grounded, realize you're bigger than your problems, and that there is some light at the end of the tunnel, that there is going to be an opportunity. There's going to be something that's presented to you that makes this struggle worth it.
I love that so much. Yay.
Yay.
I love how the readings always work out, even if the cards are like icky. It really does.
Yeah, no, I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, no, this Five of Swords is my
No,
notes. Gross.
it's
I don't
gross.
even.
Yeah,
I
I
like
don't-
to
you
admit,
did,
I don't
you
even want to look
threw
at
it.
it. Where's this? No,
No, I
I'm
don't
not
like
even gonna
that
pretend
sound.
where it is. But there's a boo on here somewhere, and I feel like it applies to that card
wah, wah,
Yes.
wah, that thing.
somewhere. Is it this one?
There you go. That goes with that card. Yeah, guys. So don't focus on that. Focus on the light at the end of that beautiful tunnel.
Yes, and your strength and
Realize-
your power.
Yes, you're so powerful. Please all talk to yourselves beautifully and with love because you all deserve it. If you
Yes.
catch yourself, if I'm around you, I will point
will
it
fix
out.
it.
I will point it out. But if you catch yourself, just say 3 positive things then to make up for it. That's the rule.
I like it.
Yes. Well, thank you all for tuning in. I know sometimes we feel powerless, but again, this episode was all about how powerful we are. And I hope you go out there and just do powerful, amazing things.
Yes. Have a great night, guys.
Yes, bye.
Bye.